Evening, my friend. How we doing? How you doing? How you doing tonight? How is everybody? You doing good? Things? Hope everyone well. Ooh, hang on. Wait. Hold on. Hold on. Let me know if my audio cuts out at all. It should be fine. But for a moment there, it was. How you doing though? I hope you're all doing. Um. Yeah. It should be fine now. For some reason, I was messing with it. It was cutting out for a second. Should be all good. All good now. Is it low? Let me know if it's the right. Let me know if it's the right volume now. Yeah, it should be okay. I just had to fix something, but it should be okay. Yeah. How you doing, everyone? How you doing? How you doing? Good. What did you think? What did you think of the game? I think there's a massive to be expected massive amount of overreaction. That's where we are. That's where we are as a team. That's where we are as a fan base. That's where we are as a club. Why wearing a cap? Well, because I woke up at 6 a.m. this morning for the game, and I didn't get to shower, and my hair was a mess. Hat, and it was hot. I had to get out in the sun, and all of that. So yes, casual. Um, Impressed with Cunha today. Can't
Impressed with
wait
Cunha today.
for
Can't wait for
Mbumo.
Mbumo.
Me neither, man. Me neither. Me neither. You know, mate, should I bring my audio back, by the way? Because calm down, everything's gonna be okay. um I said at the start of the week, and I think in Saturday's video, I said on the start of the week, I said this week I need Mbumo done and a significant signing out the door, or I'm going to be upset. And you know what happened?
We looked alright for our first game of preseason.
I think we did too, but we'll get into it. We're going to talk about the game. Any truth to Javi Guerra? Just that United are interested, but that's
Any
it.
truth to Javi Guerra?
But that's what I said I needed this week. And that's exactly what they did. That's exactly what they've gotten done this week. Everything has happened according to plan. Everything has happened according to plan. But yes, a few things I want to speak about today. Which is obviously the match itself. I want to talk about. I want to talk about the match. A little tweet, and then I want to talk about Rashford. I want to talk about the financial space, kind of show the solution in the finances and what we can do as of today with this Rashford deal done, where we are at, and then what comes next, essentially, because we might still obviously need a bit more to get where we need to be. But I'm quite encouraged. I'm quite encouraged. Let's start with the match. Let's start with the match. Let's start with a match here, all right? This was the match. Now, oh, look at that. Who was player of the match? So crazy. Huh. Anyway, I actually didn't realize that until I opened it that he'd been given the player of the match. But no, look, we'll starting with the match. I'll go kind of half by half in looking at it. The first half was crap, right? The first half was really, really poor, in my opinion. But
Reckon us going for John Victor could
again,
help
at the
fund
end
a
of the day,
CM. ST is obvious. Need Garner, Anthony, Sancho sale.
right, Ragnar. Yeah, I mean, Victor would be a cheap option. Yeah,
Amorim
yep.
spoke on lack of pace in mid.
That's exactly
Bruno
what I
M.
wanted to
case less
speak
than.
about. That's exactly what I wanted to speak about. The real Mo Great is that midfield, because Amorim spoke about the lack of pace in the midfield, and it was so obvious watching that first half. Casemiro was still in Disney World. You know what I mean? Maybe he'll get going as the preseason goes along. All of that. Yes, thank you. Thank you for the reminder. Please do
Smash the
smash
like
that like
guys.
button.
Flexed biceps
Appreciate that.
emoji. Flexed biceps emoji.
Um, the midfield was really, really poor in the first half in terms of keeping up. The midfield was really poor at a lot of things. I'll turn the alert down a little bit for you. It was really poor in that respect, and Casemiro was way off of it. But it's obvious no matter what. It's obvious no matter what that there is not enough coverage in the midfield. Yeah, I just turned the audio alerts down. Sorry about that. I turned the audio alerts down. Should be a lot quieter now. But it's obvious that the midfield wasn't good in that first half. This pairing, same problems we've seen. When teams don't sit off of us, then they struggle to progress the ball. They struggle to cover the gaps. They struggle to do much of anything. And I'm sorry, but the in possession play is significantly less important in the midfield than the out of possession play because it affects it in both directions. So that was number one. But just bearing in mind, all of this needs to be within context. It's the first preseason game. It's mostly a fitness test. It's mostly getting some minutes in the legs. It's mostly just moving around. It's mostly just not getting injured. It's all of that. Okay, that's the purpose of preseason of these first games. So let's not overreact to it. But within the context of that midfield was a problem. And that's what Ruben Amorim spoke about, that there was not enough pace in the midfield. And he was specifically, I think we're talking about the first half, because he was also talking about, I don't think there's XG tracked for the, I wish there was, but there's not really much by way of stats. In fact, there's virtually none on the stats. Yeah, not the best. Not the best. Um, but yeah, you could kind of see it by this. It was very kind of stagnant, a little bit back and forth. So in the midfield, that didn't work, and that's still my biggest concern on this season is both of these players. One, if you're moving Bruno deep, then he has to have a really energetic midfielder next to him, somebody who covers a lot of ground. I would say Ugarte. He came in, won a lot of duels, made a lot of tackles, won the ball a lot, got around a lot, passed it really well, switched play really well, but we'll talk about that in a second. I still think Ugarte Menu is our best pairing for that deeper midfield position. I think that they have the best, cohesion. I think they have the best complementary profiles in there. Ugarte Menu didn't progress anything. All the progression came from Yoro switching to Dorgu and goalkeeper kicks. Now you're getting it. Exactly. Exactly. The stats are above the lineup. Oh, they moved everything. Thank you. Yeah, look, 19 shots to 4. Most of these came at the end of the game, but we we seem a bit cursed. Still, there's not going to be XG, so yeah. But first half 9-0, second half 10-4. Like either way was fine. You're getting it. The midfield didn't progress the ball. It came from the center back. Yeah, that's the point. That's Amram football. How many months have I been saying that? And people still people still don't get it. That's the point. That's what it's supposed to look like. And let's talk about that for a second. Now, I want to talk about the 60% of chat that continues to vote for Matthias de Ligt over Harry Maguire. And I just want to tell you bluntly to your face, you're wrong. You are so wrong. And it was really interesting to see the back three in the second half we're so much better in the build-up, so much better in progressing the ball, so much better at doing everything than that first group of three. And it is Euro, who is an unbelievable player and is very, very aggressive. It is also Maguire. The ball moves so much quicker from the back when Maguire is in it versus Matthias de Ligt. So much quicker. Every time de Ligt gets on the ball, he takes about 6 extra touches. He turns, he stops, and he passes it backwards. Okay. Harry Maguire was moving the ball to the sides really, really well. And Lenny Yoro was exceptional in his progression of it. Lenny Yoro is incredible, absolutely incredible on another planet.
We're really missing Ugarte rotations.
Yeah, I think that's true. Lenny Yoro is just amazing. The back three in comparison, yeah, Shaw with two. Shaw was frustrating me so much because between him and de Ligt, they were so slow at moving the ball. And this is where I get frustrated because because I've said many times, this is where I don't understand some of the opinions. I look at people and they'll say, our progression is crap. Our progression is crap. De Ligt's better than Maguire. And I look at that and I go, well, you're not getting the point here. You're not getting the point here. It's the second half, the minute that back three changed, United suddenly could progress the ball. They could suddenly dribble the ball. They could suddenly move it up the pitch. They suddenly were sustaining pressure. They suddenly were the team in control while the other team was the counter-attacking side, which they did for what it's worth, which we'll have to sort out. A couple of strong counters there from Leeds. But you could see that United were building and building and building and maintaining and maintaining and maintaining. The minute that back three changed, everything got better in the whole team. And it has everything to do with the ability to move that ball. The Ruben Amorim structure and buildup has everything to do with progression out of the back. Everything to do with it. And fair play to Lenny Yoro. Lenny Yoro is probably the best player we've signed in a long time when you just look at the potential talent and ceiling for him. It is insane how good this kid can be. He can be so good. He can just be on another planet. He can be so good. I cannot gush enough about Lenny Yoro. He is unfucking believable, and he just is what you can see from him. I'm not so worried. I get it. Again, all of this is within the context. All of this is within the context of the type of game that it is. But within the context of the type of game that it is, the midfield pairing, the concerns we had didn't really work. The back three, we can see that the other back three is definitely better, is definitely a better set. Now, I want to talk about a few of the other players as well from my perspective. I thought Diego Leon actually looked decent for his first ever minutes for United. I thought that, especially like maybe first 15, 20 minutes, he combined pretty well with Cunha. There was a moment, he made some runs deep, far beyond that Cunha hit him through. He was doing pretty well. I think he's decent. There's something in there. He got caught out a few times too. That's to be expected. First ever minutes for United. He needs refinement. We know that. But I think you can see from he's got some pace, he's got some strength, he won a few challenges, all of that. So Leon, I think he'll be good. Cheap, low risk signing, but I think he can make it. But he needs some work, no doubt about that. It was good to see Ahmad starting over here. This to me was pretty obvious. Okay, Toby Collier was a placeholder, a preseason placeholder. We've done that before. It happens every preseason. You get a guy who's kind of flexible, who can do different things, a utility guy, and you put him in different positions. Obviously, I think the point here was this is where Bruno's going to play. This is where Ahmad's going to play. So, put them in those positions. Cheeto, I thought was really good. Again, he's such a young player, but what I really like about Cheeto is when you get around the box, he always finds a way to get on the ball and get a shot off, and they have power in them. They have pace in them. That one shot where he turns, fires it with his left, just goes beyond the goalpost. Keeper was not doing anything with that. He was not doing anything with that if he had got that on target. So very encouraged with that as well. Cunha, for sure, the bright spark from the first half. Easily the best player on the pitch in the first half. He was just really good. His dribbling, his beating a man, he got fouled a bunch of times in there pretty regularly. You can see he is an absolute handful to deal with. He's so quick. He's so explosive on the dribble. Cunha, he's quality. You can tell from that, from just what you see from him, that he is completely the guy. He is serious quality. Other thing that's certainly noted is that Cunha definitely tends to drop in a lot to help and assist in there as well. Yeah, Willie Nanto was quite good as well. But yeah, Cunha was exactly what you expected to get from signing Cunha. Exactly what you'd expect to get from Cunha. You really do. He's exactly what you'd expect to get. So that was good. He's just got something in him. Bayindir, you know, when that first cross came in and he's like, I was instantly like, Heaton's my goalkeeper. I'm just gonna say that without getting too crazy. My keeper. Heaton's my keeper. Right now, Tom Heaton is my keeper. right now, right now he's my keeper. um, right now he's my keeper. So, um, that's it. Okay, Heaton was good. Heaton was good. The heat is on. Tom Heaton, that's my keeper for now. Okay. Uh, you know, obviously we went with like a half and half in terms of you know, what kind of starters and things like that we picked. So let's talk about some of the subs. Again, as I said, I thought Harry Maguire was really good. Look at how high up he was playing for a lot of the game. You know, came off early for Fredrickson, who also looked decent. Just his moving the ball, his passing, his progression, long passes, all of that. Really good. Lenny Yoro, I love this. They get it. This back three just get it. Defend here, move all the way up out of possession, and give you that aggressive back line that sustains pressure. It took us 20-25 minutes to get into that, but then towards the end of the game, we really started to sustain it, really started to push it. Lenny Yoro was incredible. Those switches, man, 5 out of 5, 96% passing. Those switches, he's just on another planet with the ball. Absolutely incredible. Can I shock you for a minute? Can I just shock you for a minute? I quite liked Diogo Dallo today. I quite liked it. I thought Diogo Dallo had a pretty decent game. I'll tell you what I liked about Diogo Dallo, and it's the same thing that I say from before when looking at the heat maps, because that's what I saw in the game as well myself. He was aggressive. He was aggressive. He got higher in possession than before. He wasn't dropping deep too quickly. He wasn't running up the pitch too late. He was staying high, being aggressive, finding himself in the right positions. I liked that. I thought it was aggressive. Was he rusty? Was some of the crosses, you know, it's whatever, right? But he needs to work on his crossing. One was like zipped into Hoyland. Wasn't a terrible cross, just really hard to deal with. The other one went over the bar, way past. But I thought his positioning was miles better as a right wing back. That's what I was focused on with Diogo Dallo. His positioning was much better. Let's call it that. There was rust in how he was playing, but his positioning improved a lot. It could still do some work, no doubt, but like he went from being really defensive to being much more aggressive. Okay, so I thought he was a lot better in that respect than previously. Heaven also just again, God, I love this. I love this. Where look at these center backs, man. Look at where they were getting on the pitch. Can I get Maguire squeezed in here? Yes. Look at this. That's my back three. Look at how high up and aggressive they were being. The whole back three in the opposition half, playing that super squeeze high line. Love that. Love that they got to that position. Again, great passing. We had that really nice moment Really nice moment. That really nice play where it went like up, was it Ugarte, then over to Lenny, and they kind of interplayed there. Then it went back, then it went over to Heaven, then it went to Dorgu, then it went back to Heaven, then it went through, then it went up to Hoyland, who knocked it down to Mainu, who released Dallo, who put the ball in. Really, really nice, like, movement, attack, all of that. The thing with the Ruben Amorim system is it's all about drawing the opposition to a side and getting the ball to the other side. And yeah, when Heaven kept up with Dan James, that was quite impressive. Clearly the guy. Mason Mount, the invisible man. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's weird because like there's players I look at it and I say rust. And then I look at Mason Mount and I think that's what we saw in the final. No different. I'm not even being mean. 75 minutes into the game. 75 minutes into the game. 75 minutes into the game, I said I didn't realize that Mason Mount was even
Joining
playing.
later, but why did United accept to option? We had leverage. He was their only feasible target and they were willing to spend 60 on Nico and Diaz.
I don't think we had any leverage, Hamza, but we will talk about that in just a second. He was not good. He was not good. I'm sorry, he did nothing. In the last 10 minutes or so, he got a few decent balls in, but he was not good. I'm sorry, he wasn't good. He did not offer anything. Bendito definitely didn't really get involved in the game. A couple touches, a couple passes. He had a good moment where he got the ball, dribbled a player. You saw like that explosiveness for a minute. Again, his first 20 minutes as a United player, he's never even made the first team squad before, even in preseason. So, you know, I hope he gets more. I hope he gets more time as well in the team. Hope he gets more. And look, I used to be a big Mason Mount defender. Like I really liked him, but we saw the same thing in the Europa final. He fails way too often to make any impact in the game. Mason Mount, and that's the problem at this point. Like there's a lot of times when I just think, what's he doing? There's no pace to beat the defenders. There's no duel winning. There's nothing there. You know what I mean? Like there's nothing there. That is rough to me. Um, uh, Comparing Mount to Carrick is kind of crazy. I mean, Mount hasn't made it onto the pitch for 5 games in a row. It's crazy. He is like Van de Beek. It's more like Van de Beek, where you just wonder like there's some quality in there, but like what do you do here? You know, that's my main question. What do you do here? Not involved in the build-up, not really involved in the final third. Took some set pieces. Other than that, not much. On Bendito, yes, I do think he would be much better getting minutes out as a wingback, but obviously, you know, the intention here getting Dallo and Ahmad to play in those positions. Now, let's talk Patrick Dorgu. Patrick Dorgu is 100% my man, who I think is going to be, you know, on another level this season. Um, you know, I think he's ready to explode. I think he's really ready to explode. Dorgu was so aggressive. He was so much quicker, more physical, faster, did practically everything right for me on Patrick Dorgu. And if you want me to make a comment, by the way, on that Mount and Dorgu thing, there's a moment where someone switches it, Ugarte or I don't know who it was. They switch it over into the box, and Dorgu is charging into the box wide open, and instead of passing to him, Mason Mount kicks it off of the defender's shins. Sorry, it was not a good game for Mount. That should have been a goal. He had Dorgu flying in unmarked into the box, didn't play him on it. It was that was a decision I would take a player off the pitch for because it was that bad. Kicks it right into the defender's shins instead of passing the ball. No idea what he was doing. No idea what he was thinking. That kind of stuff frustrates me. We've seen that way too much. The simple pass, simple decision that gets you a really good chance. Dorgu, I thought he looked so fucking good, honestly. Physically, he was exceptional. You could see he's fast, he's strong, he's ready, man. You give him a good front three with him. Um, you give him a good front three with Dorgu, and I think he's going to get a lot of assists this year. He also nearly scored, and Hoyland blocked his shot. I don't know if y'all remember that one, but yeah, he should have had a penalty. And he should have had a penalty. And even when he should have had the penalty, he gets knocked down, should have a penalty, manages to get back on his feet and fire a shot on target with his right foot that goes out for a corner. What the hell, man? Anyway, Patrick Dorgu, I love him, and I think that he's going to really take off this year. I think he's going to. I think he gets it, and I think he's really going to improve quite a lot. Um, oh, there we go. Sorry, my mouse froze. Then we talk about my man, Manuel Ugarte. Mr. Ugarte was absolutely everywhere in that second half. He was covering all the spaces that were not being covered before. 5 out of 6 duels won, solid on the ball. 3 out of 4 long balls, hit a couple good switches as well. 1 key pass, good touches. The partnership between him and Kobbie Mainoo continues to me to still be by far the most balanced front three midfield pairing. You know, it just does. The Kobbie had some really nice passing as well. He had some really nice passing as well. I think the pairing works really well, but I think Ugarte was really nice. He really settled things down. He really helped do what you wanted. He provided that steal, provided that coverage, provided, a lot of work in the middle and just did everything essentially right. Solid, consistent, basic, but what you need out of him. And it helped United be a lot better in that second half. I think you can play Ugarte and Cobb and Bruno. And I think we're going to have to do that. If we're playing Bruno deep, I don't think there's another choice that's even possible. And then I think hopefully you can rotate Kobbie Mainoo into that team very often as well. And frankly, what I would hope for, I'll tell you right now what I hope for. My hope is that you keep rotating Kobbie in. I don't think he's got to be the main man today. Okay. But because it's going to be Bruno, but in a year, what if Kobbie is the Bruno replacement? I can see that, and hopefully he can lean into that role. I like seeing him deep again in preseason, Kobbie, alongside a number 6. That's his best role. That's where he should learn his trade. That's where he can utilize, for me, his skill set best in order to um, build the team. But I've said this before. My main concern in that midfield is still Bruno, because it's so hard to pair someone with Bruno depending on how he plays. And it's just a concern. I'm not saying he can't do it, because there was times last season he adjusted the way that he played and he was incredible in that deeper role at times. But it's more the concern he has to adjust. He has to adjust. It's really more up to Bruno. Bruno has to play it more simple, because in the first half for me, I thought Bruno was doing what he does too much. Too much. He was doing too much. He was a little bit too frenetic with it, a little bit too chaotic with it. If he can settle down and he brings himself out of position where he can't assist in defending when he does that. If he can just do that, do more of controlling the game, then I think he'll be fine. It's just a concern, because I think he adjusted really well last season at times. But I think the biggest factor here is you can't start him with Casemiro. I'm sorry, it just doesn't work. There's going to be games where it's okay, because the opposition, like we played against Aston Villa, they're slow. They sat on the back foot the whole game, and you can just sit up there and pass it through them and play in the final thirds. That's fine. Then you want someone like Casemiro to unlock them. You just can't do it. You just can't do it. Yeah, I was actually really impressed with Tanaka. Tanaka was good. Tanaka was good. Willie Gnonto was good. I've seen him a few times before, and he was quite good. They impressed me a lot. Ramazani, I thought, was pretty lively. Obviously ex-United player. Ramazani was pretty lively on the left as well when he came on. Let's talk about then Rasmus Højlund. This is why I said, like, for me, I don't have any cope about Rasmus like suddenly finding form. Okay. Um,
Bruno will be better. W Dorgu / Heaven versus Shaw / Leon.
sure, there's that too. With a better back three, it'll be better for Bruno. Yeah. Um, it was the same old. This is not a question of form. It's the same old. Um, it's not a question of form for me. You see the exact same patterns from Rasmus Højlund. Very few runs, constantly grinding on the defender. You don't see it from Cheeto. You watch the whole first half, you never see Cheeto wrestling the defender constantly. You just don't see it. He's always moving off of him, getting off of him, finding the gaps, finding the spaces. With Rasmus, the ball comes in, and what's he doing? He's always touch tight to the defender. He's not going to be better. There's nothing he can do to be better because he doesn't get it. It's the same exact behaviors. It's the same exact behaviors you've always seen. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's all. It's the same exact behaviors we've always seen from Rasmus. He had like one good knockdown, but otherwise, no running the channels, miscontrolled. A couple of those counters, by the way, I've said this before. You go watch that.
Really need someone like a Watkins or any striker.
If you go watch these counters that happened to us, you will watch and you will see, if you go watch those back, what happened right before. And I think in both instances, what happened right before was the ball came into Rasmus came right back off of him, and the other team goes for a counter. And I've said that last year. That ball being fired into the striker is a huge part of Amram game. They have to be able to knock down, control the ball, and not lose it in the center. They have to. And when Xerxes on, it makes a big difference. Even when Cheeto is on, we don't lose the ball in the same way. And that's one of the reasons we actually faced worse counters in the second half than the first half. Is it opens us up for the counter when we move in the defense around, we're spreading out, we're going wide, we fire it into the striker, bounces right off him, straight back towards goal. So same concerns as ever. Like, it's not a question of form. As long as he keeps wrestling with defenders, we're not going to get anywhere, and he's not going to improve, and I haven't seen anything change. Fredrickson, I thought, came on a few minutes, did well, good for him. Jack Fletcher, was good to see him get on the pitch as well in those 10s position. Did a couple little things. But look, United at the end of this game should have scored. We should have had a penalty. We hit the post with Mainu off of a header. We had a block shot from Højlund off of Dorgu. It was nice. I'm okay with it. All in all, I'm happy with it. For me, for me, the team is very easy. It picks itself at this point in time when Mbumo's in there. You go Heaven, Maguire, Yoro. That's your back three, period. Dorgu, Ahmad, those are your wing backs. Ugarte and Bruno, probably your midfield. But it has to be Ugarte. And Bruno's going to play. So even though I have some debate in my own head about this, Cunha, Mbumo, and then I think Xerxes in the middle. And that's it. That's the team. I don't even think it's practically almost not even debatable what the best team is in terms of what the current options we have available. I think it's purely extremely obvious, extremely clear what the best team is at this point. That's my feeling anyway. Okay. I thought it was clear before. I think when you watch this game within the context, all it does is confirm that what the best team is and what needs to happen. Yes, Mbumo was doing his medical and media and all sorts of shit today, tomorrow, getting all ready. So, all of that. Thoughts on the CCB and mid during the build-up? I don't care about those things. I really don't care about those things because I think it's 90% it's about the personnel. I'll say this too, in the first half. One of the differences is, can your goalkeeper
We
actually hit
need
the ball to
Mainu
somebody?
Onana midfield or Bruno Onana.
We need Mainu, Onana. We're not going to get Onana. There's no point even discussing. To be honest, I like Onana, but there's really no point discussing it. That's one of the other factors in this is that when you talk about the build-up shape, this, that, and the other, the keeper has to be able to actually find a pass, not kick it straight out of play every time. I get that, but that's true of if you watch City or you watch Liverpool or Allison or these types of things, then the keeper has to be able to distribute the ball sometimes correctly. Heaton did a lot better at it. I don't think we discussed Heaton, but in particular, but Heaton's my keeper. I mean, 8 out of 4, 12 out of 16. I don't know what the stats will look like on this, by the way. 1 out of 6. That's really one of the bigger differences in the build-up success is, can your keeper give the ball to your team or not? Or does he pass it to the opposition? So, yeah, I don't think our current team is even debatable. I think it's like you do that and then you run out Dalot, Mainu as your first options off the bench, and all of that. So, anyway, so that was the game. I think that obviously as we get into the next preseason games, we'll see more like the first team, like his actual 11 he's going to want to play with, and then they'll get 45 minutes, and then you'll do a big sub thing. Some will get 60, then they'll get into doing 60, and then by the end of preseason, a few of the starters will get 90 just to make sure that they. But that was the main thing on the game. I'm good. Like I look at a lot of I look at a lot of I look at a lot of like the
Is there enough
individuals,
time
the
left
little
to move out
partnerships,
the
the
four
things like that as
troublemakers
the
and give
main point
Bayendier
of
the out he
discussion.
wants?
And I think that the players that are impressed, and the players that expect, anyway, a lot of stuff I think is working really, really there. I'm quite encouraged by a few players. I'm very encouraged. I'm very, very. I'll tell you what I am very encouraged by. Is there enough time left to move out the four troublemakers? Yeah, there is. There absolutely is. I'll tell you what it really encourages me is our signings. We're getting it right with the signings. Cunha, you can see how good he is. Dorgu, you can see how good he is. Heaven, you can see how good he is. Leon, you can see that there's a player in there, I think, as well. Very low risk, obviously. We're getting it right with the signings, Lenny. Euro, all sorts of things. We are getting it right in the market. And for the long term, that bodes well. And you just know Mbumo is going to be just as good, too. We're getting it right. We're getting it right in the market. The transfers are good. It's never going to be 100%, and it should never be 100%, but we are getting it right in the market and improving on what we should now. We are getting good players in the door. We're getting players that actually are going to make it and are going to make the team better, and that is absolutely huge for me. So that's one thing. Obviously, the next thing that came out in the beginning of the game, big deal for sure, is the Marcus Rashford deal. Okay. Marcus Rashford, obviously, we got the Ornstein Bomba. Got another one this morning, but that Barcelona were set to pay the whole Marcus Rashford salary as a part of proposed transfer, and pending loan plus option to buy includes 100% wage covers as all parties work to finalize the deal. Now, there's some debate over the amount of the option: 35 million, 40 million, 30 million, etc. But the biggest factor here is that the wages are fully covered for Marcus Rashford, and he is going to Barcelona. It's really funny, this one. This is another one. I tell you, it's a good week for me. Because I spent the last 2 weeks with getting, you get dogs abuse about not being super negative about her in the window and saying that I think we'll be fine. We're going to get Mbumo. Things are going to happen. We're going to get these deals over the line. We're going to get Mbumo. We're going to get sales. Things are moving. And then there's the extra dogs abuse that you get if you think Marcus Rashford's a decent player who's actually going to be going to a decent club. But, the amount of times, thank you for the donation, David, the amount of times people are saying, you're doing PR because you're saying, for Rashford by saying he's going to go to Barcelona. No, I'm not. He was going to Barcelona. It's just the truth. That's just the reality of the situation. It's just the truth. He was going to Barcelona. I'm aware of the information around it that he was very likely going to end up at Barcelona no matter what. Just that they were going to sweat us for a loan and we were going to accept it at the end of it. That was always going to happen. Thought Barca would hold this right. Well, they were going to hold it to the end of the window if we wouldn't accept the option. Then they would keep sweating us and keep sweating us and keep sweating us to the end of the window. But we decided we'll take the option. I said that like 2 weeks ago. We will be fine with accepting a loan. I said that. I knew that for a fact that the club would accept a loan and not drag this out as long as the wages are covered. That's what matters. We do believe that he will get he's going to get a good opportunity in La Liga. If he kills it in La Liga, he's already a player who's highly rated by a lot of other teams, a lot of other people out there. He will have no issue getting his move. He is, if you do it at Barcelona, arguably the best team in the world right now, arguably one of, then yeah. Yeah, there were people who played it down all week, and I kept saying, no, it's real. No, it's real. They're going to go for him. They're going to go for him. They're going to go for him. It wasn't PR. It's just the truth. I think eventually people will learn that. I say things because I believe them, not because of anything else, because I believe them to be true. But I'm really happy for him. I'm really happy for him. I'm really happy that he gets the move he wanted. And I think, as I've said before, it's the right time for him to move on with his career. And I think it's the right time for him to leave England, get a fresh start at another club. And I think this is a great move. I think it's good for all parties. United will save between 14, 17 million, something like that on this season. And I think it'll make it a lot easier to get him sold later on. So, yeah, I mean, I'm just very, very, very happy about it. And it's a big one. It's a big one. It's definitely a big one. And, fair play to him. He came back, got into training, even though he was on his own first, got into training by himself, did his work, got ready, and pushed for the move and accepted, as far as we know, there's a little debate on this at the moment, a wage cut in order to facilitate it and help make it happen. So good for him. He's taken a wage cut. I believe that that's the case. Either way, it saves us a lot of money. So great for him. Good for everybody. Obviously, we need some of these other players leaving. We need some of these other players leaving as well to add more money. Now, an interesting thing that I do want to add is about Ruben Amorim made some comments. And I've said before, very positive about certain things. I understand Ruben Amorim.
Q for James. Will Amorim play Bruno up top as one of the 10s and Mumo up front versus top teams?
We'll
Bruno
see,
cannot
man.
play deep
RSV, we'll
versus
see.
top
I think it's
teams.
unknown. I think
He
we need to
isn't
be flexible in
disciplined.
that. And hopefully he is flexible in that. Is he made the comments about I said this is what Ruben Amorim does. This is why they brought him. This is why they saw him. Yeah, we'll talk about Kolomwani in a minute, Helms. I did see that. I did want to discuss that one specifically. This is what Ruben Amorim does. He comes in. This is what he did at Sporting. He builds an environment. This is why he was hired. This is what I said the other day. I tried to explain it in better words. This is why he was hired. Come in into a club where the environment is a mess, where the environment is toxic, where everything's bad, rip it apart and rebuild it. What he said today was, I don't know if anybody caught those quotes in particular. I'll see if I can find them. But what he said essentially was that the environment is good now, that the atmosphere is good now, that yes, there's some difficulties and we're going to keep learning through them, but they're working together. They're playing for each other, and that's where we start. And that is not word vomit. That is Ruben Amorim's entire philosophy. That is his entire success. That is exactly why he was brought in and exactly what he did at Sporting. And exactly what his intention was with this summer was take this club, this whole atmosphere that's shit. He said all the changes are done. right? That's what I said as well. The changes are done. The rip up is done. The club has been exposed, pulled back, peeled, and ripped apart down to the studs. And now we can actually build something. Because all the rot, everything has been ripped. Well, I shouldn't say all the rot because certain owners are still there. But on the side of what they can see there, it's been ripped apart from squad, from players not committed, from staff, from everywhere. It's been ripped to pieces under the full control of Ineos, of course, down to the studs. And now we can actually build something, and he feels there's a good environment in there to build with. That's so important to me because that is the only way players will come in and not be poisoned by that toxic atmosphere and decline. That they will come in and they will help to elevate. It will help to elevate the team higher and higher and higher and higher. They will come in and raise the levels. They won't come in and sink to the level of the club. That's the most important thing for me because then when we add players, you're just adding the quality to them. That's it. So I thought that was a very interesting comment. Obviously, that was his focus. That's who Ruben Amorim is, and I think that is necessary. All else aside, I think that's what he's going to bring to the table. Everything else comes after, and I think that's why we're going to be a lot better this season in general. So now we have something to really build off of, and I don't think it'll be as long a road back, um, as we think, at the end of the day. Um, so yeah, there was that. Now, in speaking about another one-to-way player, we're still getting a lot of we're, we're still getting a lot of like noise out of Italy. And again, the Rashford Barcelona thing had cold water poured on it too, and yet out of the blue, it's done. So what about this one? What about Jadon Sancho to Juventus? This one's had some cold water poured on it, but there's also been a lot of talk. Could it actually be quite advanced? Because a lot of the reporting on it is semi-similar to Rashford. You were getting a bunch of reports, a bunch of stuff about Rashford and Barcelona, and other people saying, nah, it's not really there, it's not really happening. And then out the blue, it's done. Could we be seeing the same thing with Jadon Sancho? Because you have decent reporters and some decent stories on Jadon Sancho and Juventus saying it's quite close now. Could it be happening? Now, I don't want to play it too much into the narratives here, but I will say that Mr. Freedom posted some photos today on Instagram that did catch my eye a little bit in terms of the aesthetics. Okay? They did catch my eye in terms of the aesthetics. Let's just take a look real quick. Now, apparently he's getting on a jet. Where is he going? He's technically on training, unless these are old pictures. He's posting pictures on a jet, getting on a jet. There's a lot of black and white in this photo. It just caught my eye from an aesthetic standpoint that if I was trying to say I'm headed to Juventus, the black and white, well, the aesthetic here matches. Could it be? Could Sancho be on his way to Juventus? Is it possible? Could this be happening? Or is this an old photo from summer? I'm just saying the aesthetic matches. There's a lot of black and white in this photo. A lot of black and white in this photo, okay? Like it's probably old, but it was posted now, okay? It's posted now, okay? It may be old. But this was just posted, okay? So point being, I'm just saying a lot of the clothes, the jet, a lot of black and white in the aesthetic. The clothes, everybody's wearing black and white. Anyway, I know the photo's old, but he just posted it, black and white, the Juve colors. I'm talking the shorts and the shirt, and another one of his friends is the shorts and the shirt and the shoes and the plane and the even the coloring of the photo, the background, and anyway. Yeah, it's old school Muppetry, but it seems like a message to me. Um To be fair, you're a good goalkeeper, 10-goal striker, and a solid CDM from top six. Oh, I don't disagree with that. That's old school. You know, it was like the Lukaku. I think Pogba did a red thing one time with a bunch of black and white, and then there was only red in the photo, something like that. I'm just saying, it's old school. It is old, but he posted it today. So he's not getting on a jet, fine, but he posted it. Just, I'm just saying. We'll just saying. It's just this. It's just, it's just, one of those things. I'm aware it's an old photo. Okay, it was a question, but I'm aware. But posting it today is a message. I see the symbolism. I see the symbol. Um, Fabrizio liked it. Yeah, you never know, man. You never know. All right, I did want to talk about what was the next important factor in this because there are some questions about what can we do. Actually, this is tan, not white. Tan. You can see it when you compare it to the hat. White on the hat, that is not the same. And the whole thing there. Flag behind black over there. Anyway, we'll see. But yes, I want to talk about the finances a little bit here when it comes to Marcus Rashford, what this does for us and where we're at. So I'm going to pull this up and explain it. These are some rough numbers, some rough terms, okay? Hold on. Actually, not that one. There we are. All right. So I just want to explain this really basically, really quickly. Going into the season, going into the summer, these were the departing free agents. These were the departing players and their wages and what we were saving, a total of 19 million a year. Now, the expectation with that is that that was going to give us a certain amount of budget to spend this summer, 19 million a year. Now, my assumptions about our budget were that we do not want to end with a higher, understand this, we do not want to care with a high, we do not want to end the summer with a higher expense than we started the summer with, given the losses and things like that. Ekitike to Liverpool is Ornstein, 95 million. 95 million euros. Remember when we were linked to him and people were waffling about how we could get him for 60? 95 million euros for one good season? This market has gone insane, man. Insane. I'll tell you what, though. I think Liverpool are on the cusp of making some huge mistakes. They've never done this before. This is not how they built their team. This is not how they built their team. Not like this. By paying these massive, insane fees for young players that are big risks. They have not built their team this way. They've not built their team this way, and I think that they are making mistakes. I think that they're I don't know, man. These are the types of transfers when you do this. If it doesn't work, you're fucked. You know what I mean? You're absolutely fucked if it doesn't work. The Wirtz deal, 2 ACL injuries, Ekitike, they just spent 240 million euros on 2 players from the Bundesliga. You know how big a risk that is? We've been there. 245 million on players from the Bundesliga. One good season for Ekitike. For 15 Bundesliga goals? These are massive risks. The last time they spent big money on a striker was Darwin Nunez. That didn't work. I think I think they're making, it's approaching world class. Ugh. He's, what competitions did he play in? How many good seasons has he been in? World class? Unless you're saying the price, by the way. World class? 15 goals in the Bundesliga makes you world class? That's crazy. World class? Come on now. This is I think that we have reached the peak. The peak. I think that we have reached the absolute peak of like what I would call like football Dunning-Kruger effect. Okay, I think we have reached the peak of it as United fans. In fandom in general, in football fandom, I think we have reached the peak of the Dunning-Kruger effect, where because there's so much access to football, because there's so much access to like analysis, because there's so much access to data, everybody and their mother like can study up a little bit and think they're an expert in football. And it leads to everybody needing to be the biggest football hipster around, where they've got to be the first guy to make some absolutely insane take that's like, see, I know football better than anybody. You know, that's to me where football has gone. Everybody knows the most about tactics. Everybody knows the most about players. Everybody knows that X, Y, or Z player is the best player in the world before anybody else did and is a genius about it. You know, it's not for me. It's not for me. It's not for me. You know, I share my opinions as strongly and as often as I can, but they're just that. They're just that. They're just opinions. And at the same time, I generally base my opinions around the expert. That's what I base my opinion around the expert. Um and yeah, but that's oof. You remember when Jurgen Klopp 2-3 years ago was saying we can't spend that kind of money? What was it he said? Do you guys remember that quote when he was complaining about like a player we bought? What did Jurgen Klopp say? What is it that he said? I just want to remember this. What did he say? The day this is football, I'm not in a job anymore. Well, you're right, Jurgen. You're not in a job anymore, and you'd be turning over in your Liverpool job grave at this point in time. and because, goddamn, I guess you shouldn't be coming back anytime soon, Jurgen. Um. Okay. Um. Anyway, it's just funny to me. Just funny to me. 100 million, 95 million euros for Ekatike. I'm sorry. That's nuts. Absolute. Absolutely insane. I don't even think he's gonna make it. I'll be honest. I think he's gonna flop. I think he's gonna flop. Anyway, let's move on to what we were discussing. That's just crazy to me. I've just it's actually unbelievable. It's actually unbelievable. Damn, that is. How much do we offer? None. 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 We offered none. Offered none. We offered none. You know how many times the Bundesliga has made these guys look incredible? It's such a huge risk. Such a huge. You're talking about 90. Like the thing is that There is no young player worth that kind of money. Those are prices you pay for absolute guaranteed hits. Top players who are already doing it at the highest level in Champions League and all of that. That's the kind of money. And now people are doing it for like Sancho was Sancho was 5 times. Well, let's see. Sancho was literally 3 times as productive. 3 times as productive as Ekitike in the Bundesliga at 19 years old. 3 times as productive. And you can see what happened there. It's such a massive risk. It's just such a massive risk. There's no world that it's a good deal. Um anyway, Havertz, yeah. All right, let's look at what we were going to look at a second ago. Just kind of blows my mind. Um this is the savings we were going to make. We would have a 19 million to spend. Rashford 17 million saved. Ilanga 8 million in sell-ons. Alvaro 8 million in sell-on. Oyedele I think 3 million in sell-on. That's 36 million there. So this is what these players cost us. These players cost us, around these in wages, around this in fee, very similar Cunha and Mbumo. So they've cost us a total of 41 to 42 million is what they're costing us a year, Cunha and Mbumo. Okay, this is what we've got out the door already, 55 million. So in theory, if we didn't want to increase our budgetary spending this year, we have about 14 million left over right now today. Now, what does 14 million give you? Well, it gives you maybe another 40 million pound player, plus then you could pay them 100K a week. So it's almost enough probably for a striker. It's almost enough probably for a striker. If you add Sancho into the mix, you can save another 15 million. Well, actually, we did make 5 million there, so we might have a little bit more. But if you add Sancho into the mix, you could get another a lot. Sancho's worth a lot. You could get another almost like I think it's going to be like 25 million off the books for this year. That would give us the money to go get a striker and move. So that's one deal that could do it. Is place the batteries in my mouse. Is Jadon Sancho. Another one that obviously would make a big difference. Anthony, same story, less wages, so let's like more like 20. That would give us enough room. Obviously Garnacho gives you biggest. Get 40, 50 space there. So really, we're probably on the verge here. We're probably on the verge here of being able to afford a striker post Rashford. Anything further that we get will very likely give us some more room. It's tight with just Rashford because as well, no transfer fee, things like that. So, um, yeah, it's still tight. It's tight. Either way, but we may have enough. I would say where we're at is that the move of Rashford out means that we probably can start making our direction towards more deals. And I think that that's important. Like where we could look at it and say we'll start moving towards further signings. But at the same time, we also very likely need a keeper, right? That's the other thing to keep strongly in mind. We need a keeper. I thought the thing from Fabrizio was quite interesting on that about how we might, how we considered a swap for Emi Martinez. Who are we considering swapping? I'm not totally sure. He said we considered some players. I think that if we were able to bring Emi Martinez in, we don't want to have Emi Martinez and Onana. And it sounded more like a past tense thing from Fabrizio, that whole video. It sounded more like a half, like a past tense type of thing. So this hasn't really been decided. Um, this hasn't really been decided. Are you assuming no transfer budget? No, the savings from the free agents actually gave us our transfer budget. The savings from the free agents gave us our transfer budget. That's where we got the money from a lot of the wages that came off from the guys whose contract expires. Um, Having Onana and Martinez doesn't particularly make any sense to me. However, why I could understand them doing it is if you were able to say send Garnacho, get Martinez and 30 million, you might say, well, that does like what I'm saying is you might consider compromising if it gives you enough more space by getting a player and cash and such, like with Garnacho, that's going to let you like do more in the market afterwards. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, you don't want to have Martinez and Onana together. But if that is what it takes to get Garnacho sold for 50 million, get you an extra 30, 40 million, and then you can go buy your striker, and then you can even potentially do deals after that, it's probably worth it, to do that. So when I say they haven't decided, the point is now is the time for United to be my favorite word in corporate lingo, which is agile. This is the time to be agile in the market. This is the time when they need to be flexible, when they need to be aware of opportunities, when they need to be aware of different things that can happen. Whatever, if there are solutions presenting themselves for Garnacho, they need to be live to that. If there's solutions that are available for Garnacho that help you get a keeper or help you get a striker, they have to be alive to that. They have to be, so it's flexible. It's flexible in that respect. That is a major thing. It's flexible there. They need to be to be able to um assess different things that are ongoing and figure it out. And that's why I think it's not like the Mbumo Cunha stuff was clear. We went for Cunha. We were going for Delap. We weren't going to get Delap. We went for Cunha for Mbumo. It was obvious. That's what we were getting done. Now it's not so much like that. Arsenal bottle Gyökeres, do we have a chance?
If Arsenal bottle Gyökeres,
Well,
do we
sure.
have a
Like
chance?
if they don't get him, do we have a chance? I don't see why not. Why would we not go for him? Why would we not? We really like him. Good player. And fits the system. We need a striker. We're putting our money together. I know I tweeted about it kind of as a joke, right? But why not? I don't think they'll bottle it, but there's a point where you start to go here. There's a point where you start to go, guys, what if they were playing Sheshko? Why are they stalling over 2.5 million? Are they hoping that, like, imagine that someone goes in for Sheshko now, and because Arsenal have walked away, that price has come down, and Arsenal flip over to him. Why are they stalling for 2 weeks over 2.5 million? Why? Why? I'm suspicious. I'm so suspicious of that. Like, I'm just so suspicious of that activity. Like, to me, it's so weird that it's taking that long when Sporting's demands have been extremely clear. Even if I disagree with some of the things they've done, why is it taking so long? Sporting have laid out exactly what they want. Period. So anyway, it's really interesting to me. I'm just curious, but um, we did not do the same for 5 million. No, not at all. That's not what was going on. Um, but no, the other thing I want to say is obviously we have other strikers Ollie Watkins, Nicholas Jackson. It's funny. I said the Nicholas Jackson stuff, and somebody said you took the Nicholas Jackson bait, and all of that. But now you've had it from Ducker, you've had it from Hurst, you've had it from Fabrizio. Everybody's talking about Nicholas Jackson. Jackson's a target. Might even be the most likely target. Just saying. He might. He might even be the most likely target. Better age profile for Ineos. Might even be the right target. He might be the main guy. He might be the most likely striker right now. So we'll see. Watkins, obviously, we'll see. Ducker said he's expensive. Now, I think Jackson will be more expensive than Watkins. So unsure about that one, but maybe that has to do with his age. But yeah. He might. He might. The other interesting name that I would say that may have some weight is Kolomuani that I did want to discuss today because we were very interested. Y'all stuff is Portuguese media hysterics. Yeah, but they've been really like ahead on the whole deal. They've been really ahead on the whole deal. They've been solid on the whole deal. Kolomuani, United had him seriously on their list 2 years ago when they were looking at Kane, Osimhen, Oyland, Kolomuani. They looked at Kolomuani ahead of January. They considered a deal for Kolomuani ahead of January. They thought about a deal for Kolomuani ahead of January. So it's been considered under this regime with this people in place already. A deal for Kolomuani has been considered. I think what's brought it back to the forefront is that he's not staying at Juventus, right? He's sort of not like I don't know what happened with that, but everybody thought he'd stay at Juventus, that was all settled. But he hasn't. He's not stayed at Juventus, and he's gone back to PSG, and now he's kind of in I guess he's in trouble. He's not succeeding. He's not making it. I don't know exactly what's happening there. I don't think United would want to pay a big fee for him. I don't really know the situation. I have to look into it more. But I think that's made him more available, essentially. I have my doubts on Kolomuani. I think United would probably, if they take him, it'd be something like they'd more likely take something like a loan. Um, they'd like to take something like a loan, maybe with an option. But I've thought that's why he wasn't staying at Juventus. PSG wanted a permanent deal. What kind of player is Kolo Muani? What kind of striker is he? He's again probably the right type in essence. I'll say the one thing he's really poor at is he's really bad in the air, unfortunately. He's really bad in the air. That is something that I think is a big compromise. It's why I want Ollie Watkins. He's bad in the air. And Mbumo's going to put the ball in the box a lot. I want a striker who's good in the air. That's my main concern with Kolomuani. More than anything, he's I just don't think he's the right guy. However, um, however, um, he's turned into quite a good finisher. He does other things well. He's athletic. He runs the channels. He does a lot of that. That's what he does. He's a very, very good dribbler. He's a good dribbler. He's good on the ball. He runs the channels well, but he's probably not the guy in the air. Now, if you look at his numbers here, by the way, we'll just look at him real quick. He actually scored 8 goals in only 1,100 minutes over at Juventus. That's a pretty decent return. He's another one of these players where, like, this isn't even a bad return. 11 GA in 1,200 minutes is not even bad. It's kind of Moise Kean-esque. You know what I mean? It's kind of Moise Kean-like, where he's very good at certain things. He's really, really good on the dribble. He presses well. He's a decent finisher. He's not bad at all, actually. Let's see. People remember his miss in the World Cup and they think he's a bad finisher, but he's finished pretty average around his career on XG. So yeah, pretty average. Right around his XG for most of the parts. Some years a little better, some years a little worse, some years a little better. So, I don't know. It's an interesting link. It's one to keep an eye on, I think. Um, but yeah, so it is. We have to stay live to these opportunities now. We have to hopefully get, I think, one more deal over the line that will let us unlock some significant spending in the market. I still think we're going to get the striker in. I still think we're going to get a goalkeeper in, and I still think that there's potential for one more after that as well once that happens. But now is agile time. Now is the time to be flexible. Now is the time to see what happens.
Kolo
Um,
Muani is better than
yeah,
Isaac
Isak
2324 at
obviously
Dayton.
exploded, but yeah, yeah, he's 26. Like, it's one where I'd take a risk on a loan, but given our situation now, we should just go buy a striker, a good striker. We should just go get a good striker, period, and not compromise on this. We're going to have the money. One more sale, we'll have the money. Let's go get a good striker. Okay, I'm going to end it here, guys. I'll be back with something tomorrow. And then obviously next week, as we get towards the end of the week, lots of stuff on the tour, lots more things to happen here. But we should get something on Mbumo in terms of an agreement or official announcement and all that tomorrow or Monday. That's the plan as of now. And yeah, otherwise, United very, very alive to all of this. Thank you for watching today. Please like the stream on your way out. Only in 199 likes. When I don't do the poll, when I don't ask, it doesn't happen. It should be a lot more. Thank you guys very much, though. Please do just click a like on the way out. It's that easy. It helps me a lot. Really appreciate it. Um, but thank you all. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for hanging out. And I hope to see you all later. Talk about more in the future. But enjoy the rest of your weekend. Enjoy your Saturday. Enjoy your Sunday. And see you later, everybody. Have a good night.